All right, so I'm standing here in Will Call, where most people, when they come to Wolfsburg West, will come to pick up their parts. But today is kind of special. Tony's actually going to give me a quick tour. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Eddie.
Hey, show me around if you don't mind. I mean, obviously, this is Will Call here, where people come and get their parts when they order them, whether it be online or here at the counter. But I've always been amazed as far as how much you guys have grown. So I was wondering if maybe you can give us a quick little tour and just show us what it's like behind the walls here.
Yeah, sure.
All right,
sure.
I'll follow
Come on
you.
in.
Thanks.
So you're seeing will call, which is not much. Mostly we're a mail order business. 90% of our business is mail order.
Wow.
So will call is to help our local customers, which has grown in the last 3 or 4 years quite a bit.
Has it really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So come on around.
All right.
The backside of will call.
The backside.
Yeah.
It's almost like going backstage at Disneyland.
Well, it is kind of a backstage because we've got Mike's little desk here that if you come in, he's probably going to be the guy that helps you.
I love it.
He also is our guy that does keys,
okay.
the keys for the door handle sets that we sell. So you see a bunch of key stuff.
So he's a code master, huh?
He's the code master. I don't know how much the audience knows what we do, but we sell parts for the restoration of old buses and Beetles. So everything you see is parts that were used in the original cars.
So everything that you do is stock.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
And no Type 3 stuff, no Type 4, really?
No, we've never, we haven't gotten into Vanagon, even though I have one, drive it. But, we've never moved into the Vanagon, just Beetle and bus up to 79.
Okay, and I mean, it's crazy when I look at the pallets, how high everything goes. I mean, this is just Beetle and bus. I mean, I couldn't imagine if you had everything else.
Well, for instance, right behind you, if you can swing around, I'll show you something. These are rubber floor mats that go on the seat stands of a bus. This is a bay window bus rubber seat stand mat.
Okay.
To get the company to do these, this is the original company that did them for Volkswagen. We have to buy 2 containers of the things.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, there's other mats mixed in. And as a matter of fact, I was just at their factory last week. And it's they can't do them anymore because the technology is old.
Oh wow.
And so we're having to find, we've got the tools, but we have to find somebody else to do them now because it's part of what we have to do is, this technology goes away and you have to continually try and find somebody to, make them the way they used to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would assume it's because of the fact that it's just no longer profitable for those companies.
Exactly. In this case, they moved to plastic injection.
Okay.
And these were done they're done in a steam vessel. And it's really unique. And, the technology is just old school and is expensive and they just don't want to do it anymore.
Wow. Bummer. So it's little by little, unless people like you start making them, then it's no longer going to be available.
Well, in this case, I mean, they've got this huge steam generator and the vessel that those go into is it's probably 10 feet in diameter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it gets filled up with steam and the rubber just kind of flows into the tool. And it's cool to watch, or you can't see it, but you can see the tooling that does. Wow. So this is our receiving area.
Okay.
Things come in and get labeled and from there they go onto the shelf. I
mean, dude, it is endless. It's just incredible. Wow.
So just more of the receiving area. Things come in and get opened up and separated.
Look at this, bus bumpers. Look at that! Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's probably one of 5 crates
of
those that we, again, we have to buy a lot of them in order to get them made.
Right. What's incredible is when you start thinking about, I mean, like these boxes here, obviously these are the fenders, the early fenders. But when you look at the size of the boxes, the amount of space that it takes, that's,
yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. There's what, 8 fenders there.
Yeah.
And look at the amount of real estate that it takes up. It's just wild.
When we made the early bus middle seat, it was 2 40-footers, containers
Oh my gosh.
of just middle seats. Yeah. And so it takes up that much space in the warehouse. It really makes it hard to do, but you're not going to get that seat made for a reasonable price unless you step up and make a reasonable amount of them.
Yeah, but that's incredible. Now, Tony, how large is this warehouse?
This one's 28,500 roughly.
Okay, and you've got another building.
We have another building 3 doors down that's 16.5, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so roughly it takes you about 45,000 square feet just to...
And we're packed. I mean, our warehouse manager is constantly, trying to find another nook and cranny that he can put things into. We're out of space.
Unbelievable. Now, what's cool too is, I mean, obviously you guys have a bunch of stuff, but you make a lot of your own stuff too, here in-house, right?
Yeah. In fact, well, this machine right here, this is what puts it puts the heater outlet rings on the carpet. I'll show you in a little bit. This is the shape this goes on the back side and this goes on the front side, and it gets welded to the through radio waves. This machine, yeah, it creates. So cool. I don't know how it does it, but it's got some big tub in there. It looks like a dryer, clothes dryer tub, and it spins up these radio waves, and and welds the 2 pieces of vinyl together.
Oh, that is so cool.
So that's what that's for. Yeah, that's a salt spray tester that we're getting ready to turn back on now. So we salt spray test in house. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
As far as salt spray for corrosion, for chrome.
Chrome, to test chrome.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll get new vendors, and they'll say that they've plated at this level. We've got specifications that we call out. But the only really way to find out is to salt spray test it.
Wow.
So we do it every once in a while, every year or so, we'll fire it up.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, and I can imagine, I mean, obviously being here in California with all the EPA standards and so forth, finding a good chromer's got to be a little bit challenging, huh?
Right, right, yeah. We've gone through several, yeah.
Crazy. I mean, it's amazing how you guys have to change, over time. Oh, look at this. You guys, noses.
That's the 68 later bay window bus nose that we made.
Look at that. Noses, noses, noses.
Yeah, and I think, this is another, we made both the early and the late bay window nose. That's the other one.
My God, how many noses fit in there, huh?
Yeah.
And then seat pads, you guys.
Coconut fiber seat pads. We've been making these for, gosh, a long time.
Well, and what's interesting too is just the amount of different seat pads for the different models that it takes. I mean, it's just like, this is, it's pretty impressive how many seat pads. But what's interesting though is your seat pads definitely give the seats that original look, like you guys say.
Right.
I mean, I know a couple of upholsterers, they'll do the foam and it always looks like the seat is pregnant or, is allergic to bee stings.
Right, a little fluffy. Yeah, yeah. Right. And these will, the welting and everything is crisp when you use these. And they have that original smell too. When you smell them, it smells like the car smells when you get in one of those old cars with the original seats.
So Tony, what was the original? I mean, obviously they call it the horsehair seat pads, but originally they didn't put down that many horses, did they?
Yeah. I hear that originally they were. I don't think Volkswagen ever went that route, but I think in the old American cars they were using horsehair. But these are coconut fiber It's coconut fiber, and what bonds the coconut fiber together is latex.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so they take a coconut husk, the outer part of the coconut shell, and they grind it up. And then it's really interesting to watch. They grind it up, and then they turn it into a rope. I mean, a rope that's, a couple inches in diameter. And they cook the rope, and then they let it sit, and then they take that rope and they grind that up, and what that does is it gives the coconut fiber the coil or the spring.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they grind it up, and then they shoot it onto a machine, or onto a conveyor belt that shoots the latex onto it and binds it together. And so they make what looks like an inch or two thickness layer, and then from that they throw that into a tool that and with more latex that bonds it all together. It's really interesting.
That is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good use of, coconut fiber, I guess.
Right.
Whomever
Stuff that would go to waste.
Yeah, which is cool. Now, when you guys actually went ahead and embarked on doing the seat pads, because I'm assuming, were you guys the first ones to come out with it, right?
Yes.
For the Beetle.
Yeah.
Okay. For the Beetle on the bus, right?
We found the original company out in Mexico. It was making for Volkswagen Puebla.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was one of the first places I visited when we went to Mexico. Back in the 90s.
Wow.
Gosh, probably the early 90s. And great company, and just, they were doing it, so they knew how to, they were doing it for Volkswagen.
So did they already have the molds as far as for certain models?
Some of them, and then some of them we had to produce new tools.
Wow. I mean, it's just crazy, when you start thinking of the differences of the seats, the backrest from 65, 67, and then late, it's just.
What is it? Is it 67? Endless. I think there's 3 different seat pads for the backrest. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. No, that's really cool. Well, it's impressive that, you guys embarked on something like this. Obviously the need, I see, are those cocoa-mats? They look like bus.
Right.
Bay window cocoa-mats.
So something else that we do.
Yeah, you guys have done cocoa-mats, gosh, for how long, Tony?
A long time. This started out where, I don't know how it was brought to me, but somebody that was making them locally here in Southern California stopped making them, and they had a bunch of the material. I mean, a lot of it, like a container full of it.
Wow.
And so we bought it and made them, and they were very popular. And so we had to go out and find, a company and that made the material and to continue, because the demand was big.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think they're great. I've got them in my cars, and it definitely makes a difference, especially driving around barefoot and stuff, going down to the beach. Yeah. But no, it's kind of cool. I dig it. I think it's a fun accessory. So, and now obviously it's just sheet metal. It seems like just
so much by sheet metal. It's I mean, you and I remember when there was nothing. You were scrounging for common pieces that you would have thunk would have been made. But
those donor cars too. Yeah, nobody made it. Yeah. It is kind of interesting how spoiled, I like to say spoiled, we are today, just because it's like, you need an apron, sure, they're available. Yeah. You need a whole side panel. I mean, now you can pretty much build a whole new bus with all the different sheet metal that's available.
Right.
But yeah, no, I know. I remember going to the junkyard, going to the junkyard and cutting stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I'm still just impressed by just how much stuff you guys have to house. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty wild. Obviously, one of the things that I've always thought is really cool is the fact that you started off as an enthusiast before you were a business owner. But what was your goal, just to have like the best of the best so people didn't have to really go searching anywhere else?
Well, I think my goal was, I was building, or I built, a few cars, and the quality of the reproduction parts was not very good back, in the old days. Everybody, was going for NOS because, of course, that's where the quality was at. And in the old days, the German square weave carpet wasn't even talked about back then, and everybody was using a synthetic carpet, seat covers, door panels, things like that. They weren't even original looking. It was hard to get, a good original part. So, and like I say, I did a 55 convertible. That's really where I made my mark, and that to do it at the level that was needed, it was quite the challenge. And I think, starting Wolfsburg West was trying to fill that gap of not being able to find, the parts that I needed to bring it up to the level that I wanted it at. So,
right.
Yeah.
I think that light's talking to you up there.
It is. God. That's going to look good on the video.
You're right, huh?
Yeah. We can't film it on it. I think that's going to drive me batty.
All right, so we're away from that light.
Yeah.
So what's this area, Tony?
So we do a little bit of assembly, and we work on our own cars. That's the reason for the mill and press. That's stuff for our own use. But we do a little bit of assembly. We make carpets in-house. So we import German square weave right from the manufacturer.
Okay.
This is some of the German
look
square
at that,
weave.
yeah.
And then we do synthetic. That's what's laid out on the table here.
My God, how many patterns do you guys have?
Yeah. These drawers, it's just,
Wow.
This is different patterns that for, and you look at some of these, this is like that's a 55. This is a 52 and earlier, right, with crotch coolers, I think. Yeah, we got a lot of patterns.
Yeah, big time.
So we cut and sew carpet here.
Okay.
We cut the cocoa mats. This is called we call it a clicker. I think it's the.
Oh, it's not the clicker. My dad used to call the remote control the clicker for the TV, right?
So this thing comes down and using steel rule dies. Look at
this thing.
Like here.
Wow.
It comes down and here's one of the dies for one of the carpet pieces. This.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that looks like the rear.
Yeah.
The rear trunk area. Okay.
Carpet.
Look at that. It's basically like a piece of metal. It's like a blade, huh?
Right.
Kinda?
It's a blade, a flexible blade that they cut the slot in the wood and it fits in.
Wow, look at that.
So we use this mostly for our cocoa mats.
Okay. Very cool. So, I mean, do you guys pretty much do this to order then? So when I call in a carpet kit, then, it's basically made to order. It's not necessarily like you've just got it on the shelf.
Right.
I would assume it's hard to predict.
Yeah. There's too many combinations and to try and shelf them.
Right.
So some of the common pieces, I think they'll shelf, but most of it is made to order.
So Tony, I remember many, many years ago, I actually saw you behind the sewing machine. So you know how to sew your own stuff.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, yeah.
That's so cool, though.
Yeah.
It's interesting. That's why I wanted to do this interview. Is the fact that I've always called Wolfsburg West the Nordstrom of Volkswagen parts. It's always like the nice of nice and the nicest of the nicest. But what I think is interesting is the fact that you're so involved with it. Make your own stuff. You can do your own stuff. there's a lot of people that they know how to run a business, but sure wouldn't know how to go ahead and stitch their own carpet. So I think it's cool, man. So kudos to you.
I think I've always been blessed with the interest in how things work, and just for me, just figuring out how that binding gets on the edge of the carpet is a challenge that I've always. Those are the kind of things that I enjoy doing, is figuring things out like that. So, yeah.
No, it's cool. Yeah, it is kind of funny over the time that I've known you. It is kind of fun watching you actually learn the development of the part and doing the CAD design and everything. Yeah, which is cool. All right, so the door is opened up. Wolfsburg West is open, but not yet to customers. So Tony, this area here, one of the things that I've always been impressed by, because obviously I buy from you guys, is the fact that you guys get your orders out pretty much every day, dude. I mean, and you get a ton of orders. How do you do it?
We just stay on top of it. Yeah. I mean, it's of course it's automated. Everything is shelved by a bin location, and the computer spits out a walking path that that makes it so you're taking the least amount of steps necessary. And
because it used to be by just part numbers,
right?
Yeah,
we used to do it by Volkswagen part number, which is really dumb. So now it's we've changed all of that, and now when we check it, it's scan checked, so everything's barcoded, and before it goes into the box, it's gunned, and the computer tells you whether you got it right or not.
Okay.
Then it speeds things up, and we have less errors because of it. Same thing with shipping. I mean, I can remember in the old days when, we had a book, a UPS book that we wrote, every order into, the shipping address and everything. And of course now that, that's all done. So it helps out. But yeah, we just, we've got a policy that if we get it, in time that day, we try and get it out. We want to get it out because, as enthusiasts ourselves, we know what it's like, to be waiting on a part to come, that you desperately need.
Did you ever think you were going to get this big?
Oh, no.
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 I mean, standing in the warehouse here, how big? You started in La Habra.
Right.
How big was
in
that?
1,000 square foot industrial park. Yeah.
1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you went to Grove, right?
We moved over to Lambert.
Oh, Lambert, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Right across from Dave Folt's Transmission. Yeah.
How big was that place?
And that was I don't know, 1,500 square foot or so, or 2,000. And then we ended up getting 3 more units in that complex as we grew. And then we moved to Grove over in Anaheim.
And even Grove, how big was Grove?
Grove was 10,000 square feet, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And in 2000, it was 9/11 when we moved here. Yeah. I was on the forklift loading semis when they flew the planes into the building. I'll never forget it. Yeah. When we moved here. Yeah.
Wow. What a time.
Yeah.
And now you're here.
We had an actual car show inside here. I mean, we had so much room, how things have changed.
How things have changed, exactly. They've definitely changed for the better, so. Yeah. All right, so we're upstairs here at Wolfsburg West. Tony, let's go back in time. I mean, we were just in the warehouse talking about how you guys grew and how you went from 1,000 square feet to now, just shy of 45,000 square feet. I'm just curious, where did this all start for you? How did the Volkswagen bug come to bite you in life, and how'd you get into it?
Right. My dad owned a gas station in LA, and made no money doing it. It was really hard on the family because we didn't have much money, and so I never was interested in cars when I was, a teenager. I was actually into electronics, and I was going to Rio Hondo College to get my electronics engineering degree, And I was driving home. I dropped off my buddy at his house, and I was driving around the corner, and I'll never forget this. And sitting in the corner of this small street was, I didn't know it at the time, but it was Dave Foltz. And he had this 54, 55 Black Beetle. It was just beautiful, just beautiful. And again, I wasn't in the cars, and there's nothing really, floated my boat. But this was just like that aha moment, where it was, I kind of had to have one. And yeah, and from that point on, I just had that desire to make a car that looked like that. And actually then Dave built a car for his sister, Barbara, that was really nice, and it was in one of the magazines. And I ended up building a cow look car that was basically, it was just like that one, but in a different color.
Wow.
Yeah.
You built a cow look car?
Oh yeah.
Wow, I never would have thought of that.
Yeah. And so yeah, that's where it started.
What year would you have said that was?
That must have been, I don't know, 76.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Maybe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, and then from working on, I went through a couple different cars. That first car I built was a '56 sunroof. I ended up getting a job at a dealership. I don't know, why they hired me, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But I was good with electrical. They gave me all the electrical jobs because I was good with that.
Uh-huh.
So ended up working at a dealership for like 3 years or so, and from there.
Which dealership, Tony?
At Green Motors in Norwalk.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, learned a lot there. It was a great experience, just seeing how Volkswagen did things, and really professional, and working with the Germans. And we still, we had a German service manager, Horst Strebelo. He was the funniest guy. In fact, one of the guys that I worked with, we just hooked up again at the Truffin at the Phoenix Club. He came up, and now we're very close friends again. Excellent mechanic. Anyway, from there, from the dealership, I went to work for Bob Scott at Vintage Volkswagen. It was Vintage Volkswagen then, and it had to change their name to Vintage Parts. But I worked for Bob for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And then in '87, I started this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh, '87. So that's incredible.
37
years. Yeah. 37 years that you've been doing this. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you first started it, how many products did you have back then?
Excuse me. I had one. To start the business, I had to sell my convertible, my '55 convertible, and the guy that bought it was the guy that owned Casablanca Ceiling Fan Company, Burton was his name. Same first name, last name.
Uh-huh.
And he, when he came and picked it up, he asked me, he goes, Tony, what do you think is the most unique, part on this car?
Uh-huh.
And I had those, they called them bear claws.
Yeah.
And they fit in the jack outlet, and it was a little chrome accessory that, you pulled the hubcaps off with.
Uh-huh.
It had 2 little wire fingers. They pulled the hubcap off. And I showed it to him, and he goes, that's really unique and cool. Well, it wasn't like, I don't know what it was. It was like 4 weeks later, he gives me a call, and he says, Tony, he goes, there's going to be 20,000 of those at your door in like 2 weeks. He had, because of his, pull,
uh-huh.
he had them made, and he allowed me to, buy them at a, whenever I needed them. he'd send me over a couple more boxes. So
Uh-huh.
that was the first product that we made.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and the old hot video, you'll see it. It was just that. It was a little small little ad with just that product.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Wow. So you sold your 55 to finance the business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Incredible.
And it's funny because, well, it's not funny. It's very cool that it was about, what, 3 or 4 years ago we went to 3 years ago we went to Japan. The car went to Japan, and the person that indirectly bought it from me still owns it in Japan, and we went to the big show that they have in Japan at Mount Fuji. He let me sit shotgun and enjoyed the show, and it was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it still in the same condition?
Yeah, same condition. The guy takes great care of it. He's put a bunch of new accessories on it. He put an across motor in it, and
oh wow,
all kinds of stuff. But
how cool!
Real nice guy, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
that is pretty awesome. Now, if you ever had the opportunity to buy it back, like if you ever decided to sell it, would you be interested in getting it back?
No, actually, Burton asked me before it went to Japan. Burton ended up with it. Well, I already said that. But Burton had it, and he asked me, Tony, do you want it? And I wasn't. Yeah. No.
Huh.
I was more interested in putting more generators on the shelf, keeping the business open. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So when you first started, how many employees did you have, or was it just you?
It was just me for the first 6 months, I think.
Okay.
And then Mark Depew came on board.
Wow.
And and Mark's still here.
Mark's still here.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
With less hair.
With less, yeah. Yeah. And then the second employee was Rich Morris.
Wow.
And Rich is still here.
Wow.
With less hair. Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
It's pretty cool. And I mean, so dude, 37 years. That is a very long time.
Yeah.
What keeps it going for you? Where do you get the excitement now?
Well, I still like developing new products. There's when there's a need for something, I still enjoy putting that together and producing a part that is of good quality and that people need. That still floats my boat.
Very cool. Wow.
I enjoy working with CAD now. I mean, things have changed since the early days, but I enjoy going through that whole process of building, reverse engineering the part, and putting together all the CAD models, and getting the correct vendor to complete the project for you.
Yeah, I can imagine. I remember. It seems like a while ago, even though it seems like yesterday, when you were going through the process of making the Ocrasa part, right? The heads, I think it wasn't that a little bit of a headache?
Yeah.
No How long did that project take?
Yeah, it took a while. In that we started out with a vendor to cast the heads that didn't work out, and then we ended up getting Autolinea in Brazil on board, and they do CB's heads, and they're OE to Volkswagen in Brazil, so they had the technology to cast the head correctly. So once we got them, then it was pretty smooth sailing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that is neat. And I think, which is kind of a fun fact, didn't you guys test that on the Bonneville salt flats in your 57 single cab, is it?
Yeah, no, we by the time we went to the salt flats, we had already had the engine or the kit out. That was just having some fun with it, I think. But we ran it in, I forget his name. He had a Ghia. He's since passed away. Sean and my German friend Marco took the motor up there, and they put it in his Ghia, and they ran it down the salt flats. Yeah, we actually tested the motor on a couple trips back and forth from Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we drove it over there and got into some of those some days that wind can really howl.
Yeah.
And so it got a pretty good we outfitted it was in the 57 single cab with a full set of it was electronic gauges and just watched it as we beat it up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it did well.
It did well. Yeah, right from the get-go, we didn't, there wasn't very many issues with it. Yeah, it did fine. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, so what was that like when that project finally came to fruition?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little stressful. So yeah, it was really nice to see it, get completed and get a project, get it out the door. You always, with something like that, you're always concerned about, what's going to happen later on, as people run it and, go through the installation. But yeah, it's worked out well.
Oh, that's cool. So what's the next big step for Wolfsburg West? What do you want to, is there something in particular that you've always wanted to still maybe make, develop, for the future, or have you pretty much made everything that you've wanted to make?
A lot of people ask me that, and honestly, these days it's just keeping the rubber mats. Just speaking about where we're having troubles with manufacturing those now, it's just keeping what we have on the shelf as this technology that Volkswagen used is going away. It's a challenge to keep things on the shelf. So that's my biggest. That's where I spend the most time day to day. Is just keeping up with what we got. We're not a big company. We're a small company, and we've got a lot of different products. And if you don't stay on top of it, either the quality goes down or you can't get it, or it's just that's what I do most of the day. But yeah, we make new products. We just finished a 6871 bus turn signal switch.
Ooh.
Just because there was a reproduction out there, but the quality wasn't up to par, and it was needed. So we did that.
With the housing and everything too?
Yeah, the complete switch.
Wow. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. If you've ever looked at one of those things, they probably got 60 pieces in them. Tiny little stamped sheet metal pieces that all have to work together. You wonder how the Germans pulled that off. It's just amazing, the quality. Yeah.
It is pretty impressive. And when you mentioned we're a small company, I mean, okay, so you started off saying that it was, you started off with Mark was your first employee. How many employees do you guys have now?
I think we got 22.
22.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, it's pretty impressive, man. I mean, when you think about mom and pop, type of businesses, I mean, yeah, you guys, you're known worldwide, you ship worldwide, you've got great quality, on the parts and everything. And it's just incredible how much you guys have grown. But a lot of people don't realize, hey, still mom and pop.
Yeah.
Which is cool. You guys have not been replaced by Amazon or anything.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty awesome. And, one of the things that I think is pretty neat, obviously you've grown this company, you could pretty much drive whatever kind of car you want, but it's fun watching you. I'll see you sometimes in your Vanagon single cab, right?
Yeah.
What year is that?
85.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your daily,
right?
Right. And then I'll also see you in the little light blue Beetle, right? Was that whose car was that?
My grandmother's.
Your grandmother?
Yeah.
So that's her original car?
Right, 74 Beetle.
Okay, standard?
Standard.
Standard,
yeah.
Okay. What's the story on that? You drove that thing for years, and a lot of the years that I've known you, I mean, that was your daily.
Yeah, for a while I drove it. Yeah, daily. That's true. And I think everybody that everybody in the families, had it for a bit.
That's
friends,
so cool.
One of our friends from Brazil that sold us parts had it for a while.
You guys just passed it around.
Yeah, it just got passed around. The last person to have it was my cousin up in Portland, and he was towing it behind his motorhome.
Oh my gosh!
And it's an original paint car.
Right.
It's all original. I used to take care of it when I worked at the dealer.
Oh wow! It came from Green Motors.
It was a Colomi car.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh. So they bought it at Colomi, and I've got the window sticker and all still.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and for the most part, still all original.
Same engine?
Same engine, same Same. Well, it had the same headliner until just like a year ago.
Oh my gosh.
And for the most part, original paint. It got hit in front of the Elks Lodge, and so he had
What?
to touch it up a little bit. But
Some drunken elk?
yeah, yeah. So it's yeah. So we still have that, and now my daughter Stephanie is taking it over, and she just learned to drive stick in it.
No way.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
so cool. I mean,
Yeah.
God, how many miles does this thing have on it, do you think?
I don't know. I think the speedo's gone over at least once. Yeah.
That's
So,
cool.
but it's a really, it's one of those things, that just means so much to me, and
Yeah.
so
That
yeah.
is super cool. Now, of all the cars, let's see here. Your first one was a 55 convertible, right?
First car was a 56.
Oh no, that's right. That was the one you
Yeah.
made a cow look?
Cal look, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the 55.
Right.
Now, I remember hearing a funny story about you and Mr. Larry Dustman of the Think Shop
Yeah.
and the VW Classic back in what, 1986 was it?
I think it was 84.
84. Okay. And
Mhm.
is that when you guys met? Because I know you guys are good friends.
Mhm.
Tell me that story. You guys, who won? Or I think that was the biggest thing, and I won't give it away. But tell me that story of the Classic. What car you took, and
I don't. Yeah, no, we were friends because Larry did the interior. He did the whole car. I mean, interior and
oh,
top wise.
okay,
So I'd gone to Phoenix to that. He had a business called the Trim Shop,
yeah,
and he had done a '57 convertible that Hot VW's put on the cover,
uh-huh,
and that's how I. This is when I worked at Vintage. That's how I found him and called him, and ended up him doing the top and interior. And so when he came, it was the very first Classic. I think it was '84. And he brought his car out and stayed at our house, and then we went to the Classic, and yeah, for whatever reason, we ended up tying.
No way.
For best of show. Yeah. Yeah. So of course they only had one trophy, so they gave him the trophy, and then Rich Kimball sent me a trophy later on, and all the stuff. But,
oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That
it
is
was
funny.
cool.
I wonder. We'll have to ask Rich Kimball if that's the only tie that has ever taken place.
At the Classic.
Yeah, especially for best of show. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So now, of all those cars, that you've had, the 56, the 55, and so what's been your favorite car? Is there one that you think, this has always been my all-time favorite? Do you have a favorite Volkswagen?
It might be my '56, sunroof, but I don't know. They've all got a special place. But I enjoy the cars that I can drive, and the '55 was too nice to drive. Anytime you were worried, you drove it, you were worried about rock chips, stuff like that. So I enjoyed. I think the cars that my '57 pickup that I have now, I enjoy that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed my Vanagon, and my wife Carla has a '69 convertible.
And
I'd say out of all the cars, now that I think about it, that's probably my favorite because I don't worry about it. It's a really nice car, but we go out and have fun with it, and she definitely enjoys it. She's driving it today at work. She drives it during the spring and summer.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. So I mean, you and Carla, the owners of Wolfsburg West, and your daughter now, you guys have Volkswagens as dailies.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'll tell you, Tony, seriously, congratulations on, all the successes. It's pretty cool. I've known you for a few decades now, and then just seeing the amount of work that you actually have put toward just everything, and the pursuit of quality, and just, it's noticeable, and it's pretty cool to think that after 37 years, you're still doing it, man, and it's fun. It definitely keeps the hobby alive for a lot of people. It certainly has for me, which is fun. And so thank you for your time today, and just thanks for the tour and everything. Hopefully people will actually get a good kick out of getting to know a little bit more about you and because this is about you, and then secondarily, Wolfsburg West. But I think it gives people a whole new appreciation for this supposed mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
So thanks, Tony.
Cool.
I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for coming out, Eddie.
My pleasure.
Yeah.